The dying fleet, the alien fleet was dying in the cold silence of space. Broken ships drifted slowly like wounded animals. Sparks flashed from open hulls, and dark smoke leaked into the void. Commander Vale stood on the bridge of the flagship and watched the damage reports. Every screen showed bad news. Engines failing, weapons offline, life support dropping. This fleet had once been proud. Now it was barely alive. The enemy was coming. Their shadow filled the scanners. A massive armada of warships moved closer with perfect order. No fear, no mercy. Vale closed his eyes for a moment. He had led his people into this battle, believing in honor and strength. Now, he had led them into death. Time remaining. Vale asked quietly. Less than 20 minutes, an officer replied. Her voice shook. The bridge was silent. Every alien there knew what that meant. They would not escape. Across the fleet, crews prepared for the end. Some recorded final messages. Some prayed to old stars. Some simply sat and waited. Vale looked at the stars outside the window. He wondered if the galaxy would even remember them. Then, a sharp sound broke the silence. An alert, unknown signal detected. The officers froze. Vale turned slowly. Source, he ordered. The scanner officer stared at the screen, confused. Multiple ships, she said. They are not enemy. Vale stepped closer. Identify them. The officer hesitated. I cannot, she said. The design does not match any known alien race. A new fleet appeared on the main screen. Dozens of ships dropped out of warp near the dying alien fleet. Their hulls were rough. Their shapes were strange. They looked unfinished, almost crude. Vale felt a deep fear rise in his chest. Unknown ships in the middle of a lost battle meant only one thing. Another predator had arrived. Raise shields, Vale ordered. What remains of them? The officer swallowed hard. Shields will not hold. The unknown ships did not fire. They moved slowly, carefully, as if observing. A signal request appeared. Incoming transmission. Vale stared at it. His people had no strength left to fight, but surrender to an unknown force felt worse than death. Open the channel, he said at last. The screen changed. A new face appeared. A strange creature with forward-facing eyes and pale skin. It wore a simple uniform, scratched and worn. The creature looked tired, but calm. This is Captain Elias of the human fleet. The creature said, we saw your distress signal. The word hit the bridge like a shockwave. Humans. The room filled with whispers. Stories spread across the galaxy about humans. They were said to be violent, unpredictable, dangerous. Vale's heart raced. Humans were known to join battles only when they smelled blood. Elias continued. You were badly damaged, he said. The enemy will reach you soon. Vale said nothing. He waited for the threat, for the demand. Instead, Elias spoke words that changed everything. Do you need help? The bridge went silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Vale stared at the human captain, unsure if this was a trap or a miracle behind the human fleet. The enemy armada grew closer. Time was almost gone. Vale knew the next decision would decide the fate of his people, and perhaps the fate of the galaxy. Fear of humanity. Commander Vale did not answer the human captain right away. The bridge felt smaller, heavier. Fear moved through the crew like cold air. Humans were not unknown in the galaxy. They were known too well. Stories spoke of human fleets that never stopped, of wars where humans fought even after losing everything. An officer leaned close to Vale and whispered, Commander, humans never appear without reason. Vale knew this. Human history was full of survival. They lived on a harsh world. They grew strong by suffering. The human ships stayed silent. They did not aim weapons. They did not move closer. They simply waited. Behind them, the enemy fleet advanced. Red warning lights flashed across the bridge. Time was bleeding away. Vale studied the human captain's face on the screen. There was no anger there, no hunger for battle, only focus. Why would humans help us? Vale asked carefully. Captain Elias nodded slowly. Because we know what it means to be alone, he said. The words caused confusion. Humans were never alone. They always fought together. They always returned stronger. An alien officer shook her head. This is a trick, she said. They want something. Vale felt the same fear. Trusting humans was dangerous, but refusing help meant certain death. The enemy fleet entered weapons range. Energy spikes appeared on the scanners. The first attack was seconds away. Vale remembered the teachings of his people. Better to die with control than live in chains. He straightened his posture and faced the screen. What is the cost of your help? Vale asked. Captain Elias looked surprised. "There is no cost," he replied. "We helped first." The bridge erupted in whispers. No cost was never true in space. Every favor had a price. "How can we trust you?" Vale asked. Elias paused for a moment. Then he spoke slowly. "You can't," he said, "but you can watch." On another screen, the human fleet changed formation. Several ships moved forward. They placed themselves between the alien fleet and the enemy. Gasps filled the bridge. The humans were exposing themselves. They were becoming shields. Enemy weapons fired. Bright beams tore through space. Human ships took the first hits. Vale watched in shock as explosions rocked the human line. Yet they did not fall back. They held position. Human voices filled the open channel. Calm, clear, controlled. Orders were given without panic. "Defensive wall active," a human voice said. "Hold the line." Vale felt something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. Hope. The enemy pushed harder. More fire, more destruction. Human ships burned, but they stayed. Vale turned to his crew. "Prepare minimal engines," he ordered. "Stay behind the human formation." The crew obeyed. Still unsure, still afraid, Captain Elias looked back at Vale through the screen. "We will not run," he said. "Not while you are behind us." The words carried weight. Not a promise, a statement. As the battle grew louder and brighter, Vale realized something terrifying and powerful. Humans were not fighting for victory. They were fighting so others could survive. And in that moment, the fear of humanity began to change. Humanity intervenes. The battle exploded across space in waves of fire and light. Human ships moved with rough precision. Not perfect, but fearless. Commander Vale watched from behind the human line. His damaged fleet, hidden like wounded children behind a wall. He had never seen a force fight this way. Human captains did not shout. They did not panic. They spoke in short, clear words. "Hold, shift left, cover them." Enemy fire smashed into human shields. Several ships cracked open. Debris spun away into the dark. Still, the human line held. Vale turned to his tactical officer. "How long can they survive this?" he asked. The officer shook her head. "They should already be dead," she said. On the open channel, Captain Elias remained calm. "We are starting repairs on your ships," he said. "Send us access codes." Vale blinked in disbelief. "During battle?" he asked. "Yes," Elias replied. "We are used to it." Small human craft broke away from the main fleet. They flew directly into danger, dodging enemy fire with sharp turns. These ships latched onto the damaged alien hulls. Human engineers moved through fire and smoke, cutting metal, rebuilding systems. Alien crew members watched in silence. Humans worked without fear. Some were injured, none stopped. The enemy fleet pushed closer. A massive warship moved to the front. Its weapons glowed brighter than stars. Enemy flagship preparing heavy strike, an alien officer warned. Captain Elias responded instantly. All human ships, forward. The human fleet surged ahead, straight toward the largest threat. Vale felt his heart tighten. "They will be destroyed," he whispered. Human weapons fired together, not in chaos, but in unity. Energy beams struck the enemy flagship. Its shields flared and weakened. The enemy fired back. A blast tore through a human cruiser. The ship broke apart. There was no retreat, only advance. A human voice echoed across the channel. "Ship lost. Continuing mission." Vale stared at the screen. Humans did not treat death as failure, only as cost. Repairs on the alien fleet began to succeed. Engines flickered back to life. Power returned slowly. "Commander," an officer said, "we can move." Vale hesitated. Leaving the humans felt wrong. Captain Elias spoke again. "You will live," he said. "That is the priority." The enemy flagship cracked under combined fire. Its armor split. Fire poured from its core. With a final strike, the ship exploded. A shockwave rolled across space. The enemy formation faltered. Confusion spread. Human ships pressed the attack, turning defense into assault. Vale felt something change inside him. Humans were not just protecting, they were controlling the battle. The enemy fleet began to retreat, but the humans did not chase. "Hold position," Elias ordered. "Protect the wounded." Vale understood then. Humans fought with purpose, not for glory, not for conquest, but for survival, shared survival. As silence slowly returned, Vale looked at the human fleet with new eyes. Humanity had not just intervened, they had rewritten the rules of war. Why humans never run. The battlefield grew quiet after the explosion of the enemy flagship. Burning wreckage drifted slowly through space. The stars looked calm again, but the cost was written in fire and debris. Human ships were damaged. Some were silent, some were gone forever. Commander Vale watched the human fleet from his bridge. His own ships were alive because of them, yet the humans had paid the price. Captain Elias remained on the open channel. His face showed exhaustion, but no regret. Vale finally asked the question that burned in his mind. "Why did you not retreat?" he said. "You could have saved yourselves." Captain Elias was silent for a moment. Then he spoke. "Because running does not save everyone." Vale did not understand. "In most wars, survival meant escape," Elias continued. "Humanity learned this lesson long ago," he said. "When we were weak, the human captain began to explain, not as a speech, but as a memory. Humans once stood alone in the galaxy. They faced disasters, wars, plagues, worlds burning. No fleets came to help them. No powerful allies arrived. When humans ran, they lost more. So they changed. They learned to stand, to protect each other." Elias looked directly at Vale. "When someone is behind us," he said, "we do not run." The words were simple, but heavy. Vale felt something tighten in his chest. A truth he had never considered. An officer interrupted. "Enemy signals returning," she warned. A smaller enemy group had turned back, desperate, angry. Human ships immediately moved into formation. Despite their damage, Vale opened his mouth to protest. But Elias spoke first. "We will finish this." The remaining enemy attacked, weapons flashing wildly. Human ships answered with controlled fire. Precise, focused. Vale noticed something new. Human ships protected each other, always covering the weakest. One damaged human ship drifted without power. Enemy fire locked onto it, without hesitation. Another human ship moved in front of it, taking the hit. That ship burned, but the damaged one survived. Vale felt his breath catch. This was not strategy, this was instinct. The enemy group broke apart under pressure. Their attack failed. Silence returned once more. Rescue teams moved quickly. Human medics pulled survivors from wreckage, alien and human alike. Vale watched humans treat alien wounded with the same care. No difference, no hate. Captain Elias spoke again. "We stand so others can live," he said. Vale understood now. Humans did not see courage as victory. They saw it as responsibility. The galaxy feared humans because they would not stop, because they would not run. But the truth was simpler. They stayed, so others did not have to die alone. As Vale looked at the stars, he knew the galaxy had misunderstood humanity. And he knew one more thing. If darkness ever came for his people again, he would not run. He would stand, like humans did. A debt the galaxy will never forget. The war zone finally fell silent. The enemy fleet was gone. Only broken ships and drifting light remained. The alien fleet was alive, damaged, exhausted, but alive. Human ships stayed behind. They did not celebrate. They did not chase glory. They focused on rescue. Commander Vale walked through the halls of his flagship. He passed injured crew members. He passed human medics working beside alien healers. There were no orders shouted, no anger, only quiet purpose. Vale returned to the bridge and opened a private channel. Captain Elias appeared on the screen. His face was pale, his eyes heavy. "You saved us," Vale said. His voice was steady but full. Elias shook his head slowly. "We stood," he replied. "There is a difference." Vale bowed his head, a gesture of deep respect among his people. "We will remember this," Vale said. "My people will remember." Elias gave a small, tired smile. "That is not why we came," he said. Human ships began to move away. Not all at once, one by one. Repair drones finished their work. Fuel lines disconnected. Human engineers returned to their vessels. Vale watched as the human fleet prepared to leave. A strange feeling filled him. Loss and gratitude. "Will we meet again?" Vale asked. Elias paused. "If the galaxy burns again," he said, "you will know where to find us." The channel closed. Human ships jumped into warp, leaving only empty space behind. Weeks later, the alien fleet returned home. Their arrival shocked the council. They were expected to be dead. Commander Vale stood before the highest leaders of his people, and he told them everything. He spoke of the dying fleet, of fear, of human ships forming a shield. He spoke of humans who repaired ships during battle, of humans who stood in front of death and did not move. The council listened in silence. When Vale finished, one leader asked, Why would humans do this? Vale answered without hesitation. Because they remember being weak. The story spread beyond one world, across trade routes, across borders. Other species listened, and slowly, the rumors changed. Humans were no longer spoken of as monsters. They were spoken of as guardians. A new saying moved through the galaxy. When fleets were trapped, when hope was gone, call humanity, far away, on a human world. Captain Elias stood beneath a quiet sky, looking at the stars. He did not think of victory. He thought of those who survived. Humanity did not see itself as heroes, only as those who stayed, and somewhere in the vast galaxy, a debt was written, not in words, but in memory, a debt the galaxy would never forget. When the galaxy called humanity, the call for help did not come once. It came again and again, from broken borders, from burning systems, from fleets that were about to die, across the galaxy. A new pattern formed. When hope failed, someone whispered one word: humanity. Commander Vale stood in the council chamber and watched the star map. Red lights blinked everywhere. Too many wars, too many enemies. The council no longer argued, they no longer doubted. Send the signal, one leader said. All of them, far away. On a human outpost, the alarm sounded. Captain Elias looked up from his console. The signal was old, shared only among trusted worlds. Multiple distress calls detected. Elias exhaled slowly. So it begins, he said. Human fleets moved, not one, not two, but many, ships of different sizes, different designs, some new, some repaired 100 times. They jumped together, not as conquerors, but as answers. In one system, a merchant convoy was surrounded. Pirate ships closed in, weapons charged. Before the first shot fired, human ships dropped out of warp, straight into danger. The pirates hesitated. They recognized the markings. Some tried to flee, others attacked anyway. Humans did not chase those who ran. They shielded the convoy. They broke the attackers. In another system, an ancient alien world burned. Its defenses were weak, its people slow. Enemy bombers filled the sky. Human ground forces landed without delay. They moved through fire and smoke, pulling civilians to safety. They took losses, but they did not stop. A human commander carried an alien child through rubble. His armor cracked, his blood visible. Still, he walked. Stories like these spread faster than any ship. Humans standing in storms. Humans refusing to abandon the weak. Fear of humanity changed again. Now it was not fear of destruction. It was fear of what humans would do if you hurt the helpless. Commander Vale watched these reports from afar. He felt pride, and something else, responsibility. He sent alien ships to support the humans, not as leaders, but as allies. For the first time, human ships were not alone at the front. In one final crisis, a massive enemy force gathered, larger than before, smarter. They targeted human space directly. Believing humanity had spread too thin, Captain Elias stood before his fleet. This time, humans were the ones being hunted. Before the enemy arrived, signals appeared on scanners. Alien fleets, dozens of them, arriving from every direction. Vale's voice came through the channel. You stood for us, he said. Now we stand for you. Elias closed his eyes for a moment, then nodded. The enemy attacked, but they were no longer facing humanity alone. They faced a united galaxy, built on one simple lesson: when humans stand, others learn to stand too. As the battle began, Elias understood the true cost of what humanity had done. They had changed the galaxy, not with fear, not with power, but by refusing to walk away.